if they say they don't deserve you, run. And I'm like, yeah, actually.
Oh my gosh.
Welcome to Vulnerability is In.
Presented by No Subject Apparel and recorded at No Subject Studios.
I'm Christian.
And I'm Faith.
And together we explore queer culture while promoting self-love and expression of identity with fun and powerful conversations on today's understanding of what it means to be vulnerable.
What's up, everybody? So we are back again for our third episode of 2022. It feels like it was just the new year, honestly. So I don't know.
Yeah. It feels like also it was just yesterday we started our first episode too. So
yeah, I kind of joke that the older you get, it's like time goes faster. So
yeah.
But today we were going to kind of talk about some relationship stuff again. And like when you're in that talking stage, or really, I mean, it applies to any time, but just like judging when it's actually a good situation for you or not. And Christian actually saw a TikTok recently that kind of plays into this. So I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about, right person, wrong time, because in previous episodes, that was something that I like believed in the moment. I think that once you're like living through that and you're going through that, it's easier like to believe in that. And I've kind of redirected, my thought on it, like we talked about previously. And again, the reason why is it's kind of crazy because like TikTok as a whole, like when things line up and when things are on your mind or something like that, like it hits you, and like there's things that you might not even really understand, but in some weird way, like TikTok has the answer. And basically this girl, she was explaining it. She was like, I'm going to explain to you right now why I believe that the right person, wrong time, like why I don't believe in that. And she goes in and she's like, the definition of the right person is like that time right then and there. And you begin to believe the right person, wrong time, because you do love that person. You do want to be with that person. You want to hope that no matter what, that you guys will find a way like back to each other. But what she explains is, again, like if they wanted to, they would kind of like, if that is the right person at that time, no matter what, especially like with the universe and everything, it will like nothing will break you guys. Like it will actually work out. It will be that moment, it will work out in both favors. It's going to be matched energy. It's going to be reciprocated. And it's one of those things where I do think that, it can definitely like possibly work out. For like some people, it does work out for them. They do. And then like down the road in the near future, they find their way, back to each other. And I think at that point, like neither of them both like really moved on. But for myself and like looking into it and the way that she was explaining it definitely, to me, it makes sense that it isn't one of those things where for someone that you love and for someone that loves you, there's no wait. There's no thinking, like just having your mind on the future of that moment of them coming back. Like that's just anxiety. That's anxiety of like thinking of the what ifs and like what could happen. And, it's one of those things where you can definitely live in the moment. And I think that's a situation where with that person, if they're the right person, again, you will absolutely live in that moment and you will figure it out. Love, and the way that I think of love is no matter what, regardless if like you truly do love a person, it's going to work out. If you can imagine your life without them, if you can imagine your life losing them and not being with them and telling them like, not right now, but later, to me, that's so heartbreaking because you're, and I don't want it to be I don't want to sound like, don't choose yourself, because absolutely, like for myself, even I've been working on choosing myself. And I do understand that those situations, like do happen where there are things that you have to do to choose yourself because of past situations. But also, if your past situations are becoming in that present with your person, with that right person, then again, that's kind of like an eye opener. Why are past things being brought up into that current situation if you two actually do love each other? And the way that I think of it as well is it's just you don't know necessarily like in the moment that it's happening until like it really like does hit you. And I am a strong believer that my own personal opinion looking in is you can heal, but you can also like you can heal from your past, but with the right person and with the right love, the healthy love and the support, you can also move forward as well while you're healing. And I do believe that. And that's currently like what I'm kind of going through at this moment is I am healing, but I also have people in my life that understand the struggles that I'm going through. And they are just open arms with me. They're knowing that that I'm having these struggles, but they still are more than capable enough to meet me in the middle and provide that love and support of being like, it's going to be okay. You are going to be okay, but also take your time. And that's where kind of like, I don't like looking in, I don't understand others' perspective on that. Because I've been on the other side of things where I haven't necessarily walked away until like I actually had to, but I've never been the one to like actually give up every time that I've been in a relationship. And I think that this is just like important for myself and like Faith to talk about, because again, like she's in a committed relationship. It's a healthy love. Like Morgan is her person. And for me, it's like, I have thought that I've met my person. But it was every single thing of that was either a lesson for me to learn from. They were in my life as a lesson for both of us to learn and both of us to be able to move forward in our next chapter. Or also it was a situation that took place that I could give it my everything. I could give it my all, but I honestly had to recognize and I had to realize that I'm not worth the fight for some people. And that's not a me issue. That's just shit happens and it doesn't work out. And that's where on the relationship side, kind of where I'm at, but also it's not that, do I hurt? Like, do I have hurt built up and everything? Absolutely. But there's things that I am realizing and that I'm gathering, I'm answering for myself that I felt in the past. I may have been in the unknown that I'm understanding now. And all I can do in this moment is make sure that for my next relationship, these things don't happen. And I know exactly how to give love, how to give a healthy love, but I also know exactly how to receive and what is supposed to be given on my part, like coming to me, what I need to expect from that person. And if it lacks, then that is where my lesson has learned to simply walk away. And it's easier said than done, of course, but also I've been through so many trial and errors now. So it's like, that's the one thing I need to learn to do, you know? So, but also like for every situation that has come my way with exes and everything, it's definitely like no hard feelings, because also I am becoming the person that I am today because of those relationships and because I'm learning how to love healthy and learning how to take love healthy. And I'm also learning whenever it's not right that I do need to simply shut the door and walk away. Because again, like you have touched base on, Faith, like letting you take the mic over going into things, like if you don't walk away, you know the answer already. It's in your head of what's going to happen, and it's going to be that constant circle that you're in, and it'll just come right back around. And maybe sometimes it feels like it's getting good. Maybe sometimes it feels like it's getting better, but I'll be damned if I ever beg for someone to be with me, if I ever beg for someone to love me, because it's been them wanting to leave, and I'm still like, wait, don't go. Mm-hmm. And that's just, I can't do that to myself. It's not fair to me. It's not fair to them, because they told me that they couldn't love me the way that I love them. They couldn't be with me the way that I want to be with them. They told me those things. They were upfront about it. And, you know, I was the one that kept coming back and kind of allowing that back in, because again, I thought it was the right person, wrong time. And it's not that way. It's, if they tell you that they can't love you or that they want to leave, like, believe them. Okay. Believe them. Yeah. They don't want it. And ironically, 9 times out of 10, what typically happens whenever that happens is they don't want it with you, but something for them comes along and they take that opportunity, they take that relationship. And I don't understand it. That's something it's hard for me to like look into and like understand, but also again, some things you just don't need the answer to. Some things just don't deserve that energy, just don't deserve all that effort, because they're going to do it regardless of what you have to say. And they have that right to do that. They're their own person. Like we talk about here, we don't owe anyone an explanation. They already told you they don't love you. They don't want to be with you. Whoever they're with now and whoever they're happy with now, they don't owe you anything of that. And that's why so many times I say, like, I don't chase, I attract, because I've been the chaser. I've been the one always chasing. I've felt that way anyways. I've never felt like someone put up a fight with me, scared to death to lose me. Mm-hmm. But it all is like laying out and it's making sense. And I can't worry about what they're doing. Like all of them, I can't worry about what they're doing. I wish them well, kumbaya. But looking into it, again, you have chapters in your life. You can go back to those chapters and read over them. And that's where I'm observing those chapters. And I know that one day someone will love me so unconditionally. And I will be on cloud 9. I will be on the top of this world, because again, that's something that I just crave so much. And I know it will come for me, but also I know it's going to come without me chasing it. Without me, it's going to come unexpectedly. And it's going to be amazing. And I know that's going to happen. That's why I've been through all these heartbreaks, because I'm going to get that love. I am. I'm manifesting it.
Yeah. When you were talking, what did you say when you were like, when someone says whatever it was, believe them? Reminds me, I don't know if it was a tweet or what it was, but I saw something that was like, if they say they don't deserve you, run. And I'm like, yeah, actually. Yeah. Anytime someone makes it sound like a compliment and is like, I don't deserve you, almost always, or something like, oh, wait, what is it? Whenever someone is, this is one I've had happen before. When someone's like, I'm just afraid that I'll hurt you. That one's one. It's time to run. Like you swing that door open. They're setting themselves up to do it.
I have been told that before as well, Faith. And you know what my fucked up response was?
What?
It would be an honor to be heartbroken by you. I'm basically asking for it at that point. If they're telling you that they don't deserve you, or that like they're expecting for them to hurt you, like I feel like as like people, we take those things with like a little grain of salt. But like, if you really take a moment to think about it, like that is more than likely going to happen. Like, you are asking to be heartbroken. You are asking to play a fucking game. Don't play a game. You're not the best way for me to explain it is like, you know how you get your dog a new toy and
she destroys it.
Not only does she destroy it, but you get her a new toy and then like you give her that new toy and then say a month goes by and like not only did she destroy it, but you bring her another new toy, she's going to forget about that old toy. She might come back to that old toy and she might play with it or, you know, tussle it around. But also if there's something shiny and new standing right in front of them, like that's what people tend to, and it's a weird way because we have talked about as well in relationships, people can grip, like they grasp on to the past and the toxic and missing that old routine that was not benefiting them. And that was very unhealthy for them because that was their normal because they've been in those like unhealthy patterns when they have like someone there to treat them good. But then sometimes like whenever you are that person and you are like treating them good and you're that new, you know, shiny new toy, it's still one of those things where, in my opinion, and the way my things have played out, there's also something better. Like there's something out there better for them. And I thought this whole time, I really thought like I was a catch, but I really don't think like I'm just not a catch to them. I'll be a catch to someone. I know I will. But I definitely will not go into like my next relationship. Like I want to go in there with, of course, confidence and knowing, but also I want them to know like everything that has played out and why I am the way that I am, because reassurance is definitely important.
Yeah. I will say, to add on to what I said about if someone says they don't deserve you or something, sometimes it can be said and okay. Because like I've definitely done something like buy Morgan flowers and she'll say it.
Oh yeah.
But there's a definite difference. If someone does something not good and then they say you don't deserve me, you really need to be running. Okay. We're not.
No, absolutely. And I just don't. I seen this thing that was like,
oh, wait. Also, if someone buys you flowers only when they've done something bad, big red flag.
Oh my gosh. Literally, that's a big red flag. I was talking to someone about this and they were telling me like how every time their significant other like cheated on them, they would bring them flowers. Like they knew that's what, like that is, I'm not laughing. It's definitely like super fucking sad. But literally every time they got flowers, they knew that some shit was going down with them, that they were being disrespectful, that they were doing some sneaky, snikey shit behind their back. And there was this, where I used to work, there was this girl who's like, cute, nice girl who, you know, deserves way much more. And every time flowers would get delivered to her, we were like, oh, he cheated again. Literally. Oh,
and I was always like, have you looked at yourself? What are you doing with this person?
How can you how can one's brain think that that's going to make everything else right? You know, I feel like in a way, like people are just so in a rush in today's world, like in a way, like the marriage and like for some people, like not for everyone, I'm not saying for everyone, but for some, it's just like they're chasing after like the ceremony and the picture of the picture perfect life. And like, what is the whole rush at that point? You know, like, why can't we just slow down and be in the moment? Because the thing is if you're with someone for 2 years and then you get engaged for 6 months and then you get married and then you move in and you buy a house and you get a dog within the time span of like 7 years, this all happens. no wonder you get bored at that point. Like, no wonder, like, for some people, it does go good. It does go really, really well. But like,
I've done 3 out of 5 of those things.
but you crush it into but that's a whole different, you guys are taking your time. Like, you know what I'm saying? But for some, it's just like, but people think that fixes the issue. Like doing those things and making those very, very intense commitments.
Wait, that reminds me, I still haven't figured out people who have bad relationships and then have a baby on purpose.
I know. They think that that's going to fix it. I mean, I don't technically think they have a baby on purpose, but like they already have issues. And then like, which maybe this is just more of course, like LGBTQ people like in the community can do this as well. But like, in a way, it's just, they think that the baby, a whole ass human that you're going to raise for 18 years is going to make your house, like everything behind closed doors better. No. Oh my gosh.
I worked with this girl who joked that I should have her on the podcast sometime. And I was like, are you sure that that's what you want? But she probably hasn't listened past the first 3. But anyways, she said, and she'll laugh if she does hear this, but there was like a little span of time where like she and her now husband had they had a house together and they were breaking up. They had 2 kids. One's like less than a year old. And then he had actually like hit her or something. And at the end of them breaking up, and then she was dating someone else. And then all of a sudden they were broken up. And we went literally from her getting a lawyer to her getting back together with him to let's get engaged within a span of like less than 2 months. And I was like,
wait, what? The guy that hit her?
Yeah, it's the father of her kids. And then they were engaged, not even married yet. And they were talking about having a 3rd kid.
See, that's the thing. And like, it's hard for me to speak on like those situations because like you really technically like don't know until you're like living in it. Especially with like kids involved, you know, I mean, that's DNA, right? Your guys' DNA, you know.
I imagine it is definitely harder to leave someone when you have that. It is.
Yeah. I could only like, that's a thing I could only imagine. We say that like listening to that story, I'm kind of like, who in the fuck would go through that? But at the same time, it's very like common. It's a common thing because again, especially with a commitment like that, like living together, having children, even with domestic, like being involved, it is so hard to recognize it and like to actually like pick yourself up to be able to leave because like they say the right things, they're going to change, it's going to get better. And for a little bit of time it is, but again, that cycle comes right back around and that domestic side is going to come right back unless they do the work to like actually, of course, do better. But I think that that's another thing of recognizing as well in relationships is it's hard to recognize whenever like physical, emotional abuse has taken place, manipulation, you know, like gaslighting and all those things. It's hard to recognize. And then once you finally do recognize, it's so hard to know like what direction you're going to turn. And I wouldn't say to an extreme I've been necessarily like, I've definitely never been in like a physical part of that with abuse, but I definitely, if I'm a baby back bitch that can't even leave someone now who says that they don't want to be with me, then I couldn't even imagine for me being that far in depth with them. You know what I'm saying? So I feel for them because it's definitely like it's a sticky situation. And I feel like a lot of young people, this happens with a lot of young people where you, I mean, it happens with all ages, but where there is some sort of abuse that's there and you don't recognize that abuse until like it's the last straw, but then you really don't know what to do.
I will say on the bright side, we have to have kids very on purpose.
I mean, yeah, I beat teen pregnancy. We all did in the friend group.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who's like one of the main old churchy friends I have. I don't know how to explain them. That makes it sound bad. But anyways, when I came out to her, it's not like she's super down with it, but she's been cool about it. And she even told me once, she was like, I will say, I'm real jealous that you'll never have to have a pregnancy scare.
Yeah. That's the thing. For the longest time, I wanted kids. And now I'm just like, I'm cool with being the godmother, the cool auntie, like send your kids to me for a week, but I can ship them right back. But, I definitely, the reason why looking in, like, I wanted to be a mom one day because I just wanted to be given the opportunity to give a child or children better than what I had growing up. But also looking into it as well is like, the thought of raising them for 18 years and like all that, like paying for all that shit. I don't know when I will be financially stable, like anytime soon. So it's definitely not in the works, but anything could happen. But also I've never been interested in having a kid of my own. I would want that to one day, of course, be my wife or adopt.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's the boat I'm in.
Yeah. But I don't know. Plus,
which works because I'm not getting younger. So
yeah, but I don't know if it would be good if a mini Christian was running around here.
I think it'd be fun.
Oh man, we definitely spun that one.
I don't know how we got here
a little bit.
Anyways, going back to where we were at,
rewinding.
We were talking about like buying flowers and stuff.
Okay.
One thing I'll just say, which I know I've said this before, is, well, let me say this first. I think a lot of times, and this plays into your not believing in the right person, wrong time thing.
Yeah.
Is I think a lot of times we just, and I've been guilty, we want something so bad that we will convince ourselves that we will force a puzzle piece to fit there that does not fit there.
Yep.
So that way we can have it.
And the thing is like, it definitely, it can be on both sides too of both people wanting it. It just doesn't, like, if it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And looking back, if who I am today, looking back at who I even was 3 years ago, 2 years ago, a year ago, if I would have just like slowed down a little bit, again, that's where the chasing came from. I was just so obsessed with the idea, and people say the right things and you take it and you're like, holy fuck, I feel like a princess. Like, if I could have just slowed down and actually like opened my eyes a little more of gaining a friendship. And the thing is what you talked about is like, during that talking stage, it's very important to know like what exactly the intentions are, what the expectations are coming into it, and what like you're looking for in a relationship and what they're looking for in a relationship. Because once you have those conversations and once you like see those things, you have an understanding. And I did believe that people can adjust. If you love a person enough, that you can adjust to what that person you love wants as well. Meeting in the middle. I think that you definitely can meet in the middle, but also if you are constantly battling the thought of knowing that you aren't ready and that you aren't capable to have a relationship and to hold a relationship, then like at that point, again, like it's just not doing not only you any good, but it's not doing the person on the other side of that any good. And you can recognize those things. I believe that you can recognize those things very like early on, knowing. And the thing is what I was going to touch base on is I saw something that was like, I date to marry. And in a way, I've always had that mindset. I I've never like necessarily like U-hauled it out and like actually like got proposed or anything. But like my question is like, why take the time to get to know someone and like date them if you can't even like realistically like actually see a future with them? And I'm not saying talk about what kind of fucking tile you want in your kitchen and building a house or anything like that. But I'm saying like, if you can't even see yourself dating them then, and then not only see yourself building a life with them, then like what are y'all doing? What is happening? That's a situationship, in my opinion. That's just, and at that time, it necessarily isn't a game, because like you both are trying to like figure it out. And yes, you can take things day by day and see where things take off. But I never wanted the intention of going into relationships and wanting them to end. That wasn't why I started talking to, like, that wasn't why I wanted to be with a person. That wasn't why I was getting to know them so well. I was doing it because I saw something with them and I thought that it was working out, but also realizing that sometimes people just come into your life to make you realize what you don't deserve. And even if you wanted it to play out differently, it's going to play out the exact same way that it's supposed to. And that's where like I'm at with it. I never, for any of the people in my past, I never didn't see anything with them. That's why I was constantly fighting. And at the time, I was even fighting myself. I was fighting my heart and I was fighting my mind, my anxiety and everything. And it just like, it always has just been a thing. Like, why can't you choose me the way that I have chose you? And some people just can't do that. They can't. And not everyone is the same, and that's okay. But that's where that communication and that understanding that the ties there that you guys have between each other, like, they do need to be cut, and the communication needs to stop. It needs to stop right then and there. And maybe in the future, could you like build a friendship off that? But during that time of the back and forth and everything, and you know, you still continuing to talk to them after they told you like they don't want a relationship, like you do need that space to actually heal from that. Because if not, you both are not doing yourself a favor by continuing to like talk. And that's where I think like with exes and everything, I made like a TikTok, and it was a funny TikTok in a way. Like it was just like, tell me a lesbian who's like over their ex or something, or tell me someone who's over their ex or something, or there was a questionnaire, like the friend group that I'm in, we were going to make like a application questionnaire. And the first question was going to be like, are you over your ex type stuff? And it's just like, realistically, like if you're not, and you can't like recognize that right then and there, and you have to go into another relationship to know that you're not over your ex, it's shitty. It's shitty. But then again, like being open-minded to the other person and what they're going through, like I do get it, but it could have definitely saved a lot of like tears and heartache and everything. If, as much as like you think you're on the same page with them, if you realistically like would have been on the same exact page with them. And you know, it played out the way that it did, but also like the way that things are coming into my life now, I'm thankful for how they played out. You know, I wouldn't change those things because I am hopeful. I know that I'm going to receive a love that is so deserving, and all these boxes that are checked on my list and all those boxes that are checked on their list, someone will have the willingness to check those boxes off for me. And that's like, it makes me excited because I know I come off as having like the fuck off attitude, but again, I just like, I don't know. I want a best friend that I'm in love with, that I can do life with. And that being said, distance or like whatever, that doesn't come in my nature, because just hasn't played out that way. And I think that's just another thing of like, there's more that I need whenever it comes to a relationship of like my love language that I think is very important too. But on the relationship aspect, all I'm doing is learning. Now, Faith, you on the other hand, you have it like in depth of, you're basically where I'm at, and my wants and needs in a relationship is like, boom, you're the future. You're the future. Yeah. That is what to come. But again, I am hopeful because I have patience for it. So
yeah. Which, talking about having patience. One thing I did want to say on here, I had 2 points, and then I'll let you interject if you want to. One, I think like, most people just want to have that so bad that they focus on it. And honestly, the main thing that I wish I could go back and probably tell my younger self is that, it's really not worth focusing on wanting that relationship to happen or anything, because ultimately what I did is I spent a lot of time like hoping and wishing that what I was in at the time was the thing. And what I wish I had done is just spent more time with friends and just doing stuff I wanted to do and not like obsessing over this thing that's going to happen at some point when it's supposed to happen. You can't make it happen. There's no like,
I agree.
I mean, Morgan and I got together when I was 20. Oh my God, I can't believe I have to think about it. 28. So,
yeah,
and we would have met a year prior. So it's like,
yeah.
But what I was also going to say is like, if something is not going to work out, usually if you have a gut feeling, it's always right. That's just the unfortunate situation. It's almost always right. Every time I've like talked to anyone else or whatever, like I've always had a moment where I was like, wait, something's shifted. And I was always right. And you know what? I was doing the same thing you're doing where I'm chasing and I'm like, no, they'll come around. And now I sit here and I'm just like, and don't get me wrong, it's not like Morgan and I are puppies and rainbows 100% of the time, but like, it's like normally issues, not hardcore, neither of us doubt that we want each other. So
and that's the thing. That's the proven point. No relationship is puppies and rainbows and flowers and roses, but you choose your person to go through hell and back with, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You choose that person that you want to do those things with, that you couldn't ever imagine them not being there to do those things with. And that's the thing. That's the big picture to me. Like, that's what these people, these girls automatically realized that I was not, they couldn't imagine that like with me going through hell and back and working through that. And that's where now I open my eyes, because choose that person who you want to go through those things with, because you're going to go through them with someone at some point. And to them, I wasn't worth that. I was not worth that choice. And that's okay. That is okay. That is something that I have accepted. They will one day find that. They will one day get that person that they want to go to the end of earth and back for, through the tough times, and work through those things with. And it's okay that wasn't me. It was hard for me to swallow that pill and understand that, because I always thought about the what ifs, or I couldn't imagine my life without them, like type stuff. I can't, like when you tell a person you can't like live without them type stuff, and I felt those things, but realistically you can, especially on their end, if that that thought is not going through their head. And I'm not saying like rush into it, but I'm saying a person that you grow with, that you have a love with, that you learn to understand and they understand you, and you both unite as one. They're on your team. That is your person. That is the one that you love. Whenever you lay your head down at night, they're your first thought. And especially whenever you wake up in the morning, like that is a love to grow and to continue to grow with and not give up when shit gets tough or when something reminds you of your ex or whatever. Like, what my question for the longest time is like, I'm here in the present for you now. Why are you thinking about a situation in an ex relationship that obviously ended and didn't work out for you? Why are you going backwards? And do you really think that going back to that, you're not going to go into the same place that you were with them prior? Because obviously you didn't do any healing if you're missing that, you know? And it's all a what the fuck. But it's also not worth my like energy to like think about those things and wonder. I'm definitely like, I'm talking about it right now because, you know, this is something that we do with this podcast is we talk about those emotions and those feelings, but I don't respectfully have those moments of thought of wondering what I could have done differently, because in my opinion, like for that particular time and for those particularly relationships, I thought that I was doing everything that I could. And maybe I wasn't, maybe I was, whatever. But obviously that wasn't enough for them. And that's where it's okay. That's where you can't go back in time and wonder what you could have done differently. Because if it was a love to grow with and to go through all the bad shit with, it would have worked. It would have. And I don't want to ever put myself in a situation where I'm doing the back and forth and the breaking up one week and I don't want to, that's not fun to me. I don't meet someone and see something with them and date them just to end and then be random fucking strangers with history. That's fucked up. But also sometimes that's what it's meant for, because you need to take those moments and you need to take those lessons. And that's what I've learned. Everything that I've learned from my past, I'm going to do completely differently for the next relationship that I'm in, because that person deserves that part of me. And I hope that, of course, they, on the end of giving me, they can, do the same.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to say, which plays into everything, is that society has also played into everything, I think, with why we want things so much, because in most cases, being single a long time is seen as like they make it a negative thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also, myself, yeah, exactly. And then also it's like, I feel like it's not a common belief to just always be able to remind yourself, oh, hey, like it's okay if this person doesn't like me. It just doesn't work. It always turns into this, something's wrong with me. No one's, and I think that's just because it's kind of been ingrained into us because of that view.
You just like hit a fucking deep spot. No, but the what you're saying from that is, I had a fear, the biggest fear of being alone. And I think childhood stuff comes into that as well, that I'm not going to get into. But I had this fear of being alone, and then also being in a friend group full of lesbians and everything, like full of everyone, that all of my friends, I was the one coming like out, and then they had their significant others there. I was the solo one. And, even though like some people do or do not have unhealthy or healthy relationships, the smallest detail of that is though, is being in that moment and just being like looking around and seeing couple after couple and like, hey babe, I'm going to the bar. What drink do you want? And like touchy or like all of that little detail going on around me. I was just always wondering, why wasn't I good enough? Why haven't I been good enough to receive that? And playing into that, you know, it is one of those things where myself, that's where the chasing part, like I was with some people, and what I've realized is I was chasing an idea. I was chasing, in some way, I was chasing an idea of wanting that perfection of like, you know, and it definitely is something like I still kind of have like struggled with, because again, it's just one of those things where like, dude, like it's so simple. Like I just want love. I just want to be crazy obsessed in a healthy way, of course, in love. And why is that a bad thing? And then you look back, and the way that I saw it is like, is there something wrong with me? Am I not capable to be loved? Am I too hard to love? And like, if anyone ever makes you feel that way, just know that's not true. You are more than capable to be loved. You are not hard to love. There is someone out there that is going to be patient for you, that is going to be able to do all those things that you have missed out on. That they're there. And, you know, it sucks thinking that way. I have time and time again, but also like I just know that it's not the end of the world. It's one of those things where when one door closes, another one opens unexpectedly. If you're looking, it's not going to work out. It definitely isn't. Or if you're doing the friends with benefits thing or like Tinder or Hinge, I'm sorry, but like, I mean, it can happen. Like I don't know the statistics. Like maybe you can meet the love of your life on Tinder, but like, that's not what I'm doing here. Like that, I want some fucking Nicholas Sparks ass love, dude. I want that cringy but romantic ass cute shit, like where people talk about like, oh my gosh, like I want to be 80 years old and like rooting for my wife and us being together like for the longest time, and everyone knowing that we are just in love. And to some, that is just so nasty and disgusting, or like they can't see themselves doing it. But it's like, okay, then why are you even dating people? Why are you even, what are you doing? Like, are you playing house? You can go fucking buy a board game or Sims and do that. Like, you know, play Sims for that matter. And it's just like, I don't get it. And I can't speak for the people that don't want that, but like I do, and I'm not changing my mind on that. And I will get it. I'm marking my words right here on this podcast. I will get it. I will come back to this podcast whenever I'm 80 years old with the love of my life. And I will be you guys, I will go back to this episode and I will tell you guys my love story. And I can't wait for it. And you think now I'd be heartless and maybe I would be the one on Tinder and playing people, but I just can't do it. I know that I can't be that person. So,
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I think what I can say is it's like, I think when something comes that is supposed to happen, I will say it's like all of a sudden you realize it was worth waiting. Because I mean, for the listeners out there, I did not go on a date until I was 25 years old. So like, I was a late bloomer.
Worth the wait. It's worth the wait.
And I'm just like, honestly, I'm just glad that for that period of time, I just didn't even bother with it.
Yeah. And it
wasn't by choice, but I was spared. And like, I don't know. It does make sense once something works out. But I'm going to say these things. I'm like, watch Morgan and I like have some like surprise thing happen and like we don't make it. But like the point is, regardless of that, if something's good, Your gut will know. In fact, my gut knew that this was going to be like work out this well. And I wasn't even convinced, but I was just like, literally I think the like just a few days after we kind of like unofficially we got together on like a May 31st. Mm-hmm. And then we had like an official get together, like official title thing on like June 26th. Mm-hmm. And a few days after that, she had a complete freak out, had nothing to do with me. She is a hypochondriac. And while working on something, she had flip-flops on, stepped on a nail, and it just set off a whole thing. She was like, she's moving back to Ohio, all this stuff. And she's like, I just don't know. I think I jumped into this and all this stuff. And I can't explain it. I mean, I did have anxiety about it, but at the same time, there was a thing in me that was like,
you just knew.
It'll be fine. Like I still have like anxieties when things happen. Well, nothing's ever happened like that since, but there's like, because I don't like conflict going on, so I get that anxiety, but there's always this thing in me that has always been like, oh, it's fine. Like when I moved into the house, I was like, why am I not stressed about this? Because this could be a horrible idea.
But it is one of those things where like when you know, you definitely do. Like that's why I think like people watch Nicholas Sparks movies and they're like laughing or they're just like that's not real. Like it could be though. Like it really could.
But here's my question. Is those people, I feel like, are usually people who, one, didn't do the work on themselves, and two, they settle.
Facts. Oh gosh. Settling. That's a whole nother topic for a few.
We don't have time. Don't go down that road.
No, I know. Well, that's something to touch up on. But regardless though, thinking of the way of when you know, I think a thing that I do all these like little quotes of the day type stuff and like, you know, my spiritual side of it. But it's one of those things where like a person in like a month can make you feel more alive and more yourself and push you to do better than what a person in like a year, 2 years can ever make you feel. And it's just one of those things where like realistically, like those things can happen. And it's just, I don't want to sit here and have the fuck off attitude and that I'm never going to find love, because in a way, if I'm speaking that into existence, like then that's what I'm asking for. And instead, I'm not asking for that. I definitely, again, like I just feel this like uplift. And I know like I've just been going through like a little funk and everything, but also with the right people in your life and with the things and situations that you have going on, like it all plays out. It all will make sense. And it definitely is. It's just so kind of like a relief feeling. Whenever you get to that point to just feeling like, okay, yeah, times may be a little rocky right now. And I may like be going through like this energy shift and whatever, but also being able to remind yourself and knowing that like there's good to come out of this, and that the universe or like whatever that situation is, it's not technically against you. It's making you, it's growing you. And it's all how you interpret that and how you go about it. That's my TED talk for the day.
Cool. Well, hey, we're wrapping it up right about time.
Wrapping it up. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that was that for this week. Next week, we're going to have a guest on. At least that's the plan at this time.
Yeah.
So watch out for that. That one will be a little different. One of Christian's friends is going to hop on with us.
Not daddy in the house.
Yeah. Anyway, so tune in for that. And in the meantime, y'all have a great week.
Peace and blessings.
Thanks, guys, for listening.
You can follow us over at No Subject Apparel on all social media.
You can discover us on YouTube.
And please like, subscribe, follow, and review us on whatever platform you're currently listening on.
New episodes will be dropped every Tuesday.
And you can sign up for our mailing list in the description of this episode to get a personal message from us and reminders for new episodes every week.